You mentioned the term separating money and state, which I think is a critical development for the future of human civilization, but might not be an idea that is widely popular among different royal families around the globe. Maybe could you share your thoughts around the importance of private property rights in society and how Bitcoin might contribute to solving this problem?
Private property rights, strong private property rights are foundational, are crucial for civilization to prosper, to develop, to grow. That is the underlying mechanism how civilizations grow, is having strong private property rights that allow you to save or allow you to grow. So in instance, like with Bitcoin, it allows you to hold on to something that's not going to be arbitrarily debased by a different force. Therefore, you're able to save in something that's going to gain value over time, that gives you security, gives you stability. And therefore, you can focus on then reinvesting in yourself, creating a family, reinvesting in your family, reinvesting in your community. And therefore, you're going to create these ripple effects where society then benefits from individuals having their properties being protected. And this is something that's quite tied into monarchy, how monarchy became the predominant governance model before the First World War for many centuries, is that the monarch was a good monarch would understand a good monarch would actually have will enforce strong individual private property rights, because otherwise, if he doesn't do that, then his position as a monarch wouldn't last for very long. He has to make sure not to take too much from his population today to leave enough for his future generations, for millennia to come. So that's why taxation and property rights were very strong pre-First World War. This is something that we weren't really taught, and we were told a different story. Yes, there was instances where some kings took a little bit more than they should, but in those cases, that was corrected by them being disposed of, or new power structures being put in place. So that's why it's in strong individual property, private property rights is foundational to civilization prospering, because it allows us to work on our families, and it benefits our communities.
And I think to your point about the period of time just prior to the First World War, you really see the evidence across Europe. The most brilliant architectural masterpieces are all the products of these times when money worked better. The 100 years before World War I, inflation was sort of minimal compared to what we've experienced since then, this sort of central banking era. And you see everywhere like these incredible, like the Hungarian Parliament in Budapest. These just masterwork buildings that we struggle to build stuff like that even now because of the drain on how fiat money leaks.
Well, you can see, like for one example, where I'm living right now in Belgrade, my home country, is you draw a line between the architecture of pre-World Wars, post-World War, and that's Second World War. Because Second World War was known as the era of the Kingdom of Yugoslavia. So that's where my great grandfather reigned Yugoslavia, and that was also characteristic of the gold standard as well. So there was a lot more time preferences were lower, and people were better off. They were strong. They had much stronger private property rights. That was mirrored in the architecture. That things were built to last back then, and they were built for the times, to last the test of time. Then post Second World War was when the introduction of a new governance model, when communism was introduced into Yugoslavia as it was back then. And architecture post that was purpose-built, ugly, no soul, no traditions. The Yugoslav state were atheist. They had no, I guess they had, it was a different focus, and it became much more high time preference, and buildings, you could really see a difference between the beauty of architecture post a Second World War.